Hello everyone and welcome to Inside Healthcare. Thanks to early detection and new life-saving treatments, more people are surviving cancer than ever before. Sunday, June 3rd marks the 25th anniversary of the National Cancer Survivors Day. It's a day when friends and family join survivors to celebrate the gift of a new day, a new season, and a new appreciation of life. Here in the Twin Cities, you're invited to attend a very special event on that same day, Sunday, June 3rd. It's the Many Faces of Hope Cancer Survivorship event. And to tell us all about it, we're pleased to have back with us Linda Klein. She's the organizer and co-founder of Many Faces of Hope. Linda, thank you for being with us.
I'm happy to be here again.
So for those that aren't familiar with it, why don't you tell us a little bit about Many Faces of Hope? You started it, what, about a dozen years ago?
About a dozen years ago, yes. I've been in the field of cancer care for more than 20 years, so I had attended several survivorship conferences at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, and I was just so amazed at the celebration, the inspiration, the education that comes when a group of survivors and their family and friends get together in the same room and spend a day together, learning, talking, laughing, crying. And so when we had the opportunity in 2001, with the gift of some financial support, to initiate a survivorship conference for Health East Cancer Care, I was the first one to jump in the ring and say I really would like to be involved. And so we've been doing it ever since, every year.
It really is amazing to be there. I've been at some of the events and it really is inspiring.
Yeah, what happens in the room, it's like magic. You just, when people are diagnosed with cancer, I think everyone feels that they're alone in this endeavor. They home in their own homes, worried about it, thinking I'm the only one who's gone through this. So when they come into a room, other people who have had this happen to them too, and share their stories, there's something unique that happens that makes them really, truly celebrate life more. So.
And it has evolved over the years. Can you tell us a little bit about your keynote speaker? Has been there in the past. He's always got a great message, and it's Dr. Mark Moyad.
It's Dr. Mark Moyad. I first met Dr. Moyad when I was at MD Anderson. He was a speaker there. I stood in line to talk to him for an hour and a half, waiting for all of the other people in front of him to get their questions answered. And finally, I got to him and said, I want to bring you to Minnesota. And this will probably be the fourth time. Dr. Moyad comes from the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor. He holds an interesting chair. It's the Phil Jenkins Endowed Chair of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. And what that means is his previous patients have donated enough money for him to have an endowed chair in alternative and complementary medicine, despite the fact that he's also in the Department of Urology. He's a clinical researcher. He was instrumental in bringing to the market the prostate cancer vaccine a couple of years ago. So he's absolutely brilliant. His evaluations are always on a scale of 1 to 4 out of 5 or a 6. People always write, please bring back Dr. Moyad and please give him more time. So that's what we're doing this year.
So what's this speech going to be about this time?
Well, it's called The Changing Field of Cancer Care, and I think the reason we named it that is because he is a researcher, and so every time he comes back to us, he brings new things that are on the forefront, whether it be alternative medicine or standard chemotherapy or vaccines or targeted therapies. He always is on the leading edge of those things. So I believe he's going to focus on the changing world of cancer care, what we can look to in the future, as well as what works and what doesn't in terms of alternative medicine, diet, supplements. He never finishes his talk when he's here, so we hope he can finish it this time.
Yeah, it's always, his speech of itself is inspiring, and you learn so much about where we are in the cancer field and where how close we are perhaps to even coming a cure for some of the cancers.
Right. He's very quick to debunk theories that people believe in based upon his research, or he's very quick to come to the forefront with something extremely simple like eating watermelon. So
eating watermelon, the dark color or something, or is it
there's something
component?
about the nutrients and the whatever it is in watermelon that is an essential nutrient for people who have cancer or for preventative. So the other interesting part about Dr. Moyad, you can tell I'm enthusiastic about him, and I hope you all come and see him, is he's funny. And so he has such an uplifting message that you can't walk out of the room without being inspired and educated as well. So.
You know, for someone as educated and as with those his credentials and stuff, he talks in everyday layman's
Yes.
terms. You know,
Yes.
he's easy to understand. And
Yes, and he
doesn't
just
talk
has,
over your head.
Right, he has a concrete message, and it's a very clear message, and it's documented by his research, which is really nice for people. It's not just hearsay. I mean, he's documenting everything he's telling you. So.
And if people wanted to just kind of get a sneak preview of him, he is available
He is.
online, I think.
If you Google Let's Talk Prostate Cancer with Dr. Mark Moyad on YouTube, there's about a 7-minute video that he introduces himself, why he's involved in cancer care, what the kinds of things that he does. And it's a nice snippet just to see who he is and what he's talking about. Yeah.
Now, Many Faces of Hope, we have lots of events in the Twin Cities and in Minnesota aimed at breast cancer. This is for all cancers.
Absolutely, and because we're celebrating National Cancer Survivors Day, this is for everybody. And an additional fact for people to know is that we are offering a friends and family table, so the cost for the event is $30. But if you buy a friends and family table for 6 people for $150, that means your survivor comes free because it's $30 off. So we're encouraging people to come as a group of 6 and celebrate with one another.
What would be some of the other things going on during that day?
Well, it's a Sunday, which is unusual, but that is National Cancer Survivors Day, so we're starting at 10:30, hoping people can get to church. They don't have to get there by 10:30 because brunch is served at noon, but we have some exhibitors. Health East Cancer Care will be exhibiting some of the new things that they have on board that other people don't have. We have Natural Care Center, we hope, will be exhibiting. I have a book vendor from Mankato, and she's wonderful, great book selection. We have a jewelry vendor. So we have Serafina, harp and flute for entertainment. So we have lots of things going on that morning. And then the brunch is at noon, great meal at the Prom Center, and Dr. Moyad starts at 1. So it's a nice, clean-cut, short program, but a lovely day.
And you mentioned the Prom Center. Can you tell us just a little bit more about the logistics of it, where, when, time, and everything like that?
Okay, well, it's Sunday, June 3rd. Registration starts at 10:30, but people don't have to be there by 10:30. Lunch is at noon, and the program starts at 1. Prom Center is in Oakdale, just off of 94. Starts at 10:30, ends probably at 3. The cost is $30.
And if they wanted to register?
You can register by calling 651-326-2273. That's Care Connection, so you can register by phone. Or you can go to healtheast.org/hope, and you can register online.
Final comments about the Many Faces of Hope event?
Celebration, inspiration, education. Come see Dr. Moyad and celebrate with other survivors and their families.
All right. Thanks so much, Linda Klein.
You're
It's
welcome.
always a pleasure to have you with us.
It's great to be here.
And I hope you have a great event.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Well, May is Stroke Awareness Month, and every 45 seconds, someone in the U.S. experiences a stroke. It's still the 3rd leading cause of death right after heart disease and cancer. And like cancer, due to major advancements in treatment, more men and women than ever before are surviving strokes. New high-tech, state-of-the-art life-saving stroke treatment is as close to you as your community hospital, like St. John's Hospital. Here's a look at Telestroke and how it's saving lives.
And was your vision okay?
I think it was.
Elaine, can you tell me what month it is?
May.
All right, we're going to go through a little bit of an examination. So first I'm going to focus in on your face real closely. I want you to take your glasses off for me, okay?
Okay.
Now close your eyes really tight. Good, good. Okay, Elaine, now I'm going to have you try and raise your left arm up to the count of 10, straight out like an arrow, okay? The left one.
Telestroke allows patients in rural Minnesota to get the same good quality of treatment that we are able to offer at our tertiary center in St. Paul.
I guess I
I'm a physician in the hospital that I'm working with. I'm credentialed at that hospital, and I'm helping to make the decision as though I'm there.
Dr. Jessen, let's just check the sensation.
I have to say it's been tremendously helpful. It is so nice to be able to have a neurologist right there to consult with and to go over the nuances of each case and make the critical decisions about what is the best course of action to take for a particular patient.
Typically, a patient comes into their local emergency room and they're identified as a stroke patient with a focal neurologic deficit and a time of onset that might qualify them for interventional treatment or IVTPA.
Stroke code, ER.
A code is called within the hospital, and a team of people from that hospital arrives and they call the Telestroke physician at the same time and determine whether or not we're going to go forward with the stroke code. And then the Telestroke physician connects via video to the rural hospital and starts interacting with the rural physician or nurse and the patient. Very often by the time I'm connecting to the remote hospital, the patient has gone through the early stages of their stroke code at that hospital. Their blood has been drawn, they're sent to CT, and I might be talking to their family and getting history. Then the patient arrives back from CT. We might go over the CT scan films by a video at that time to make certain that there's not a hemorrhage. And we initiate the treatment by ordering the drug and getting it going. And meanwhile, we're making a connection with flight service to bring the patient for aftercare at St. Joseph's after the treatment.
I get a call, I call, they're hooked up within a couple of minutes with them, with their ER doctor usually, and we're discussing the case, and we can authorize, hook up the camera, look at the patient, make sure it's a stroke, and get the CPA to them within a half an hour. So really amazing, and they're out in Glencoe or Redwood Falls.
The combination of us being able to look at the imaging, the CAT scan or the MRI, and the combination of us being able to look at the patient, we believe translates into better and more accurate diagnosis. And so the benefits to the patient are that we can make decisions that are more accurate for those patients regarding transfer, which can be very expensive, and we want to make sure that we utilize those resources appropriately. Also, we can make decisions often that might indicate that we don't have to transfer the patient, and so we can keep the patient on site. And again, and that is often a better utilization of resources.
And time is of the essence when you're dealing with this kind of a thing. The clock is always ticking, and there's often some critical decisions to make that, those of us in primary care aren't as comfortable with those decisions as the neurologists are. And out here, you just don't have a neurologist available all the time, so it's great to have the video hook up, have the neurologist be able to look at the patient with you.
All right.
I think the response that we have had, the cooperation from Dr. Hansen and her colleagues has been tremendous. They've made it very easy to participate in this program.
When I got started, they could hardly lift my arm. And then when they were starting it, I could finally lift my arm like that again.
Elaine did remarkably well. She started to improve during the infusion while she was still at Glencoe. And by the time she got to us, she was close to her previous clinical baseline. She did not require any additional treatment at St. Joseph's. We cared for her afterwards in order to make sure that she didn't suffer any serious hemorrhagic complications. And she was able to get discharged just a few days later and get back home.
St. St. John's Hospital is also one of the first places in Minnesota to treat lung cancer with robotics. Now we'll take you inside a hospital as we talk with two of the state's most advanced heart surgeons about this and about other cutting-edge heart treatments available here in the Twin Cities that could save your life. Take a look.
My name is David Joyce. I'm one of the cardiovascular surgeons here at St. Joe's, and also we work over at St. John's. I do mostly cardiac surgery as well as thoracic and vascular. Our kind of bread and butter type work is coronary artery bypass surgery for people with coronary artery disease or blockage of their coronary arteries, and also valve surgery, both mitral and aortic valve surgery. We also do surgery for people with aortic aneurysms and aortic dissections, people who have complicated disease of their aorta, both in the ascending and descending aorta. And then on the thoracic side, we do all the different types of benign and malignant work for lung disease. And most recently, we've been starting to do some minimally invasive lung surgery using the Da Vinci robot. It's really kind of been a revolutionary change in lung cancer surgery, where you can remove a whole lobe or an entire lung through the minimally invasive approach and replace what used to be a very morbid and painful incision, where you had to spread the ribs and make a big incision into the chest wall. Now we can do it basically through a small, couple centimeter incision using the robot. People can go home the next day after that type of a procedure, so it's a real game changer for lung surgery.
And who would benefit from that kind of a surgery, or who's a candidate for that?
Anybody's a candidate, and we start unless we have some obvious reason to not start a case that way. For example, if a tumor was invading into the chest wall and you knew you were going to have to take out the chest wall as part of the procedure, you'd probably start out without planning it robotically, but almost always you can usually get people, you at least start out and assess the tumor based on the robot, and then everybody is a little bit different in terms of their anatomy. Sometimes there's reasons why you would need to convert to an open procedure, but we would plan on our default approach being to use the robot, and then most times we can get it out that way, and patient gets to go home the next day and avoid all the pain and trauma from a thoracotomy.
And I understand you're doing that at St. John's Hospital?
That's right. St. John's has a great history of, they were some of the first people to kind of get on board with the robot for other types of cancer surgery. I think the urologists are probably the ones who do the most over there, which is great for us because their team is already set up to be able to do this kind of stuff. They do it around the clock. That robot is constantly being used for some type of operation, and so for us it's just a matter of integrating into a very well-oiled machine and being able to provide that same technique for the lungs.
And you're one of the few doing this in the state?
Right. There's only one other surgeon that I'm aware of in the state of Minnesota that offers this. So.
What would be some of the other cutting-edge things that you're performing here versus some other places in Minnesota?
Well, from my background, I was trained out at Stanford, where the whole field of aortic surgery was sort of one of the few places where that kind of was developed, and so that's probably as far as cutting edge things that we have a lot of comfort level with that maybe a lot of other places wouldn't. That's probably the one thing that we're doing here that is sort of a bit cutting edge and unique, is various aortic replacement strategies and things like valve sparing routes, where you can replace the aorta but leave the native valve intact for some patients. Those are things that probably a lot of places wouldn't offer, but we can do that here.
Do you think people might be surprised to hear that you're doing that here?
Potentially. I think St. Joe's has had a great history and the oldest hospital in the state. I mean, there's obviously a long tradition of doing great work here. Some of the newer cutting edge things, obviously by virtue of being new and cutting edge, it's not necessarily the sort of thing you might expect in a smaller hospital, which St. Joe's is, but nevertheless, when you've got a great team around you and you've got people that are as top quality as what we have here, there's really no limit to what you can accomplish.
I'm Dr. Matthew Cooper. I'm a board-certified thoracic and cardiovascular surgeon, which means I do surgery on the heart, the lungs, the vascular supply, as well as the esophagus.
And you bring years of experience. to your practice here?
Over 20 years of experience at various hospitals, from academic medical centers to community hospitals.
And what are some of the cutting edge things that you are performing here at Healthiest Heart Care and at St. Joseph's Hospital?
We're performing complex mitral valve repair. We are embarking on minimally invasive cardiac surgery. We are doing robotic thoracic surgery. In particular, we're changing the philosophy and the culture of how we do that. Cardiac surgery is very much a team sport, and we are able to apply innovative surgeries and the latest cutting-edge therapies because we have a solid team that is both dynamic and is able to perform at the highest levels consistently. That allows us to offer comprehensive care, the full range of cardiac surgery, the full range of thoracic surgery, the full range of vascular surgery, which we've been doing for years.
So what would be some of those full range of thoracic and vascular
Sure.
care that you provide?
So for thoracic surgery, it means we do lung biopsies, lung resections, biopsy of lymph nodes in the chest. We do that both through open thoracotomy incisions, the larger incisions, but we also do that now robotically through small multiple incisions using the Da Vinci robot capability. From a vascular standpoint, that means that we do work on the carotid arteries to the brain, we do dialysis access, we do revascularization, restoring blood to the legs, we do aneurysm repair. And in particular, we have great experience and great interest in the repair of aneurysms, which are balloons of the aorta, both in the abdomen and the chest, done through minimally invasive routes.
And how is this different than maybe perhaps are we doing the same thing as other hospitals in town? Or
I think that there's a balance of the complexity of patients that most hospitals take on. And we are developing the capability to truly take on complex patients by broadening our capability of resources and support in not just cardiac surgery, but in cardiology and all the relevant support services. So it means that we are able to offer patients the complexity of surgery equivalent to what they may get at the university or at Mayo.
and what type of patients are we talking about?
We're talking about reoperative patients who've had surgery elsewhere or previously. We're talking about complex valve repairs. We're talking about patients who require multiple valves. We're talking about patients who may require replacement or reconstruction of the aorta, including the arch of the aorta, which is very major surgery. We're talking about patients who may have emergent or chronic conditions of the aorta that can be fixed by endovascular routes, that is small incisions that allow us to fix these from the inside out.
So patients no longer have to take the drive down to Rochester to the Mayo Clinic?
That's potentially true.
And what does the future look like? What are some of the things that we're looking at in the near future?
Well, the near future holds the prospect of minimally invasive cardiac surgery. So the valve repairs that can be done through small postage stamp size incisions that get patients back to work, back to activity much quicker. We're looking at broadening the capability of vascular services. So now, by and large, we can fix aneurysms that don't have branches. But as we broaden that capability, we can now offer that endovascular, minimally invasive technology to patients who have various branch vessels. It means that a lot of the patients who still require large operations to open the chest or the abdomen will be able to be treated by small, minimally invasive incisions.
So what advice do you have for patients that might be watching the show? What would you say to them?
I would say to them that they do need to shop around for not only their surgeons, but they do need to shop around for the total capability of the institution where they're going to have a potential operation. I think the advantage of coming to St. Joe's and Health East is that we offer the same high level of quality and great outcomes, but we offer that with the personalization of the approach, that we know you, we treat you as an individual, and you don't get lost in the system.
And this is something that you also offer at St. John's Hospital?
Yes, we do. There's somewhat of a division. We do all of our heart surgery at St. Joe's, but we do thoracic and vascular at both hospitals.
Final comments?
No. Health East is a unique place. It's a unique culture. It is growing rapidly and developing in all the right ways.
And we'd like to thank Doctors David Joyce and Matthew Cooper, cardiology and thoracic surgeons with the Healthiest Heart Care. If you have questions about heart care for your answers, Go to HeartCare call HeartCare at 651-326-4327. Again, that number is 651-326-4327. Well, that's all the time we have for you. Thank you for being with us. We hope you can join us next time on Inside Healthcare. We'll see you then, everyone.
Inside Healthcare. For more information, visit stjohnshospital-mn.org or call 651-326-7800.